Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Asad Mehmood Khan. I am currently working as a PGI in the unit-2 of LGH. The topic which I am going to discuss is traumatic iris defects. Now, what is iris? Iris is basically the anterior most portion of the uvea. What is the uvea? It is the middle layer of the eye. It consists of three things: choroid, ciliary body, and the iris. Iris is the anterior most portion. Now, few of the major structures regarding the anatomy of the iris are the stroma, vessels in the nerves, dilator muscle, sphincter muscle, anterior pigmented epithelium, and the posterior pigmented epithelium. Now, in this diagram, what is a significant thing is that the sphincter muscle is close to the pupil, while the dilator muscle is close to the periphery of the iris. Because these things will justify few things when we observe the defects. Now, the first type of defect is the osseous ring. What is the osseous ring? It is basically the impregnation of the pigmented epithelium on the anterior surface of the lens. Now, what happens? Whenever there is a blunt trauma and from anterior side, the iris will move backwards. As the pigmented epithelium is located very much posteriorly, so it will come in contact with the lens. It will cause some deposition of the pigment on the anterior capsule of the lens. This pigmented circular appearance, semicircular appearance, is known as the osseous ring. Now, whenever there is a damage to the sphincter muscle, we usually observe two types of things: traumatic mydriasis and the radial tears. In the first picture, there is a traumatic mydriasis. What happens is that there is complete disruption of the sphincter pupillae muscle. Dilator pupillae muscle on the periphery contract. No, there is threaded appearance of the pupil and there is a dilation. This is not traumatic mydriasis. The second picture, in that mydriasis is not very much significant, but you can see that there is on the lower from the 4 to the 8 o'clock, there is a you can say seesaw pattern or the threaded pattern of the pupillary margin. So at this point, the sphincter pupillae muscle is disrupted, while the rest of the iris have their pupillary muscle. Now, there is another type which is known as the iridodialysis. What is iridodialysis? It is the dehiscence, means separation of the iris from the ciliary body at its root. Now, what are the few things which we observe during the examination on that? The pupil is usually D-shaped and the dialysis portion is close to the limbus and is biconvex. The first picture is showing the direct slit lamp image, while the second image is showing the retroillumination. Now, whenever there is 360 degrees of the iridodialysis, the complete iris is lost. This is known as the traumatic aniridia. In the first picture, there is a retroillumination. On that, we can see the IUL and this margin, referent margin, is basically the ciliary body, ciliary processes. These are the second picture is basically the prosthetic iris. Iris coloboma. Usually we think that the coloboma is a congenital anomaly, but it can happen in addition to the trauma. Whenever there is the trauma, there is complete laceration of the iris. There is a picture. This is known as the iris coloboma. What happens is the black notch of the varying depth at the edge of the pupil. Now, what is the management? First of all, if in addition to the traumatic iris, the patient has a cataract, it's a rule we should first treat the cataract and then we will repair the iris. It's better to repair the iris during the primary surgery. Why? Because once the synecdoche happens, posterior synecdoche, it will be difficult. The chances of the post-operative synechia, if we treat the iris defect in the primary surgery, are less. There are detail of procedures. I will going to discuss only one procedure, which I have read from the book Open Globe. Is a simple mechanical suture. It gives excellent results whenever there is laceration of the iris. In that mechanical suture, we usually use 9-0 Prolene, straight body, round body needle, and the knot is tied by externalizing the loop using the sliding knot like a Suture sliding knot. What is Suture sliding knot is that? Now, I will explain these figures and you will understand the procedure. First of all, we will create a paracentesis at the level of the limbus, limbal paracentesis, close to the proximal end. Some people create at the level of the defects, some will create the proximal end. From the proximal end, the needle will be inserted, will penetrate the periphery of the cornea. हम इसके पास की है, आइरिस के दो लिप्स हैं, एक उसके proximal है डिफेक्ट है, एक डिस्टल है. जो प्रॉक्सिमल पोर्शन होगा उसकी जो सुपीरियर सरफेस होगी वहां से नीडल उसको पेनिट्रेट करेगी और उसके अंडर सरफेस पे आ जाएगी, थ्रू एंड थ्रू पास करना है. क्रॉस करना है डिफेक्ट के थ्रू, अदर साइड के हमने पोस्टीरियर एंड से फिर दोबारा नीडल को पेनिट्रेट करना और सुपीरियर निकालना है। अब जो डिस्टल एंड है वो फिर दोबारा कॉर्निया को पेनिट्रेट करेगा। अब ये इसका डिस्टल एंड हो गया और ये इसका प्रॉक्सिमल एंड हो गया। अब आपने ये करना है कि एक जो है सेंसकीज हुक होता है, सेंसकीज हुक को हम जो लिम्बल पैरासिंथेसिस हमने प्रोड्यूस की थी उससे इंसर्ट करेंगे। यहाँ से हमने नीडल को कट कर दिया हुआ है, और उसके बाद जो है ना हम उस जो डिस्टल एंड होगा ना थ्रेड का, उसको हुक से वापस लेकर आएंगे, लूप क्रिएट करेंगे। अब जो प्रॉक्सिमल एंड है वो उसके अंदर से रोटेट करेंगे और फिर डिस्टल एंड को जब हम खींचेंगे तो वो थ्रेड इनवर्ड्स मूव कर जाएगी। ये सीप से स्लाइडिंग नॉट जिसे हम कहते हैं, ठीक है। अब दोबारा हम उसका लूप क्रिएट करेंगे। पहले हमने फ्रॉम द अबव डाउनवर्ड्स लूप यानी कि जो प्रॉक्सिमल एंड है वो पास किया। सेकंड टाइम हम जो है ना फ्रॉम द बिलो अपवर्ड्स पास करेंगे, ट्वाइस करेंगे और फिर हम नॉट को टाई कर देंगे और कट कर देंगे। फायदा क्या है कि हमें नॉट टाई करने के लिए और मजीद नहीं करना पड़ेगा, ये मैक्सिमम कंजर्वेटिव प्रोसीजर है। दिस इज द मैकेनिकल सूचर व्हिच गिव्स एक्सीलेंट रिजल्ट्स फॉर द ट्रॉमेटिक आइरिस डिफेक्ट्स है। And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.